Hello there everyone, my name is Crazy Caleb, and today we're going to be taking a look at another not modded module tutorial. And today we're going to be focusing on not emoji math. So, for those of you who are familiar with the older version of emoji math, this will actually look very similar to the way the module looks. But the biggest difference that you're going to want to focus on is the fact that there are indeed different characters that can be present in the actual display. For example, we have this little greater than or less than sign that can pop up, but that is one of the rare exceptions that can pop up in only 2 characters. However, we're going to be looking at faces that actually form from 3 characters instead of always being guaranteed to form 2 characters. So let's actually start decrypting what the characters mean. And we're going to use these types of encodings to focus on a couple different letters. And we're going to look at the word that we get in this word list here based off of the letters that we get. So let's take a look. So in this first case, we have open parentheses, colon, and then less than sign, which in this case corresponds to Yankee in this case. Same symbol, same different characters. Next up, we have close parenthesis, colon, which in this case corresponds to golf in this case. And then next up, we're going to take a look at one of the more common ones that you'll see that are new. In this case, it equals minus close. So equals minus close in this case corresponds to Romeo. And then our last one is colon vertical bar. Colon vertical bar in this case is in India. Just make sure, yep, India. So now what we have here is 4 different letters which correspond to a this is scrambled currently right now, and we must figure out what word we're looking at here. In this case, we're looking at Gyre, however you pronounce that. Here, a G-Y-R-E. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this value below it, 986, and we're going to take a look at the serial number. And what we're going to do is for each letter present, we're going to use that letter and use that function to change this value that we have here. So let's take a look. So our first letter in this case is Tango. So Tango's function corresponds to take the difference between the input and 10,000. So the input and 10,000 in this case, 10,000 minus 986 currently right now, and we have 9,014. Next up is Quebec. Quebec's function is add the square of the sum of the numbers in the serial number. Add the square, so the square is to the power of 2. So add the square of the sum of the numbers in the serial. So we're going to sum all of these guys up. So in this case, 9 plus 6 is 15. 15 times 15, being the square in this case, is 225. Plus the 9014 we had from before, giving us 9,239. Next up, we have golf. Golf in this case corresponds to add the first number in the serial number times 10 to the power of 3 minus the number of applied functions. Now, this is where things get a little bit interesting. This rule especially is a bit tricky to understand. So, what we're going to be doing is taking 10 to the power of, and in this is sort of like a parentheses in this case, 3 minus the number of applied functions. So in this case, we currently have 2 applied functions that we've already done, because this function that we're currently on does not count as an applied function because it hasn't been applied yet. So in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to take 3 minus 2, giving us 10 to the power of 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to add the first number in the serial number. So in this case, 9 multiplied by 10. 10 to the power of 1 is just itself, so 9 times 10, in this case, is 90. So what we're going to do is we're going to add 90 to this number, giving us 9,329. That, I think, this rule right here is probably one of the most confusing steps, but reading it thoroughly is what is going to make this make the difference. So just be careful with that rule. And lastly, our last rule is Juliet. In this case, we're going to add the number of distinct letters on the indicator labels. Now, distinct letters For those of you who aren't familiar with the definition between distinct and unique, unique in this case is a character that appears exactly once. So in this case, this Bravo would not count as a unique character. It would simply be just a character. The Oscar would count as unique, though, because it only pops up once. So the distinct difference is, as long as Bravo appears, that will only count as one for both of those Bravos in this case. So in this case, there are two Bravos, but since we're looking at the distinct letters, that will only count for one letter. So let's take a look. So we have Bravo and Oscar, so that's 2. And that's our only indicator. So we're going to simply be adding 2 to this guy, giving us a final total of 9331. So now, how exactly do we submit this? Because submitting 9331 is obviously not correct in this case. And you might be wondering why exactly. So what we're going to do, and this is a very specific way of inputting this, is we're going to put this guy, our number that we received, below the scrambled word that the scrambled letters we received, and input them in the way that the word is spelled. So in this case, the first number we're going to look at corresponds to the letter Golf. In this case, being a 3. The next letter is Yankee, so Yankee corresponds to 9. Romeo corresponds to 3, and India corresponds to 1. So in this case, our final answer is 3931. And just like that is a solved module. Let's take a look at another example here. So let's figure out what we're looking at here. So, and it's very important that you do keep the scrambled word, because that's going to be relevant for the last bit of that module. So let's take a look. So we have colon open. Colon open in this case corresponds to echo. Equals minus vertical bar. Equals minus vertical bar is whiskey. Open colon. In this case corresponds to Charlie. Just 1 second. Apologies for that. I'm back. So now we just recently got Charlie, and our last character is open parentheses equals, which is a hotel. And in this case, our word that we're looking at here is chew, 385. So 385 will be our starting number. And let's get looking at the serial number. So our serial number in this case is Romeo Papa 8, Lima Quebec 7. And let's take a look at the rules. So Romeo, we're going to multiply by the digital root of the input. So the number that we have here at 385 in this case, we're going to take the digital root. So for those of you who aren't familiar with digital root, we're simply going to add all the numbers up together until we're left with one digit. So 3 plus 8 plus 5 equals 16. However, we're not done yet. So in this case, we're going to simply do 1 plus 6 equals 7. So now we're going to multiply that by the input that we had from before. So in this case, 7 times 385, giving us 2695. Next up, Papa, we're going to shift the digits once to the left. Simple enough. So that 2 in the front will go down, will go now to 6952, as here. Next up, Lima. We're going to add the sum of the alphabetic positions of the last letters of each indicator label. So here we are. And it doesn't say anything about lit or unlit. It just says simply indicator label, so that's what we're going to do. So in this case, 6952, adding November, which is 14, and then adding alpha, which is 1, giving us 6967, making sure that there are no other indicators, and that is going to be our next number. Next up, and finally, Quebec. Quebec's rule is adding the square of the sum of digits, sum of the numbers in the serial number. So we've done this one before. 8 plus 7 is 15. 15 squared, I believe, is actually the same thing that we got last time. 225 plus 6967, in this case being 7192. And this is our final answer. Now, I would also like to note that if we happen to be in a situation where each word is indeed 4 letters. If we happen to have less than 3 numbers present, we're going to simply add zeros to the beginning until you have enough numbers to equal 4 letters. And that's just going to be added to the end. So now we're going to take a look, and we're going to simply reorder our number, in this case, based off of the word chew. So our first letter is Charlie, in this case being 9. Hotel is 2. Echo is 7. And whiskey is 1. And our final answer is going to be 9271. And just like that is this little module. Let's take a look at one final example and see if we can get any different rules. The module itself is pretty simple, but it is a little bit easy to look over something in this case. So our first character is going to be Quebec in this case. Then our next character is greater than colon closed, which is Zulu. Bit of a weird one. Then colon vertical bar in this case is India. And then we have colon minus and vertical bar, in this case being uniform. Which, as we can already tell from this word that we're looking at, our word is indeed quiz. This is present on the word list here, giving us 110 to start off with. Let's take a look at our serial number right now, and let's see what we have. So we have 7 Foxtrot 2, Romeo Sierra 6. Now, let's take a look. So Foxtrot, notice that we ignore the numbers in this case. We are not looking at the numbers, and we're not changing them to alphanumeric positions or whatever. We're simply just looking at the letters for the functions. So Foxtrot in this case is we're going to add the sum of the alphabetic positions of the first letters of each indicator label. So in this case, what we're going to simply do is with 110, we're going to add 19, which is Sierra in this case, to our input, giving us 129. Next up, we have Romeo. Romeo in this case multiply by the digital root of the input. So in this case, the input that we have here, actually no, we're not going to do that. So we're going to do what we have currently right now. So 129 in this case. So 129, keep that a note. So 1 plus 2 plus 9, in this case equals 12. And what we're going to do is do 1 plus 2 again, giving us 3. 3 times 129 is 387. Okay, and our last rule that we're going to take a look at is a Sierra. We're going to now reverse the digits of the input. So we're going to take this entire string right here, and we're simply going to just reverse the way that it looks. 783 in this case. And that will be our final answer. So now, as I said before, we currently actually have less than 4 digits present in the actual final answer for us. So that will be simply where we add a 0 to the front of it. So now let's take a look at how we reorder this thing. So 0, in this case, corresponds to Quebec. Quebec is our first number, so 0 is our first number. Then uniform, which is 3. India, which is 8. And then Zulu, which is 7. And this will be our final answer. Note that we do not submit 0387 in this case, simply because that's what the module does. Is if you put a 0 in first, it just simply ignores it and goes over. And let's hit our answer. And just like that is a solved module. As always, thank you guys for watching. Remember to stay crazy, stay cool, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.